When is the end of times coming? $1 million question. And I've asked God, for different things to show me the wisdom or the how it's going to be, and I never get answers. And I don't think anybody does. Now there's people who say, "Oh, it's going to happen like this because of this," and you see this going on, and so we're really close, and it's going to happen on this day. And that day comes and goes, and it doesn't happen, like the Mayan predictions and things like that. Um, Here's the thing that I do know. I know it's going to happen because it's biblical and God put it in prophecy. Exactly how and when is $1 million question. It could be in our lifetime, it might not be. But I want to make the point, I'm always watching, not like that's my focus. My focus is on doing the will of Jesus. But you always, when you understand enough about prophecy and you understand Jesus and what he wants, and knowing that it's coming and we're getting closer, because the sign of the times, there's many signs, you keep your eyes a little bit more focused. And here's what I see going on in the world right now, because keep in mind, when we get to the end of times, there's going to be a one world religion, there's going to be a one world government. That Francis guy, he keeps pushing for a one world religion. He's trying to unite the different religions, and doing it by basically saying everything goes. Whatever you want to believe is fine. You're saved. Just come and follow us. Probably more the bigger picture is what's going on politically and the things in the world that play into it. And everybody that comes into power is something that feeds into it. With Trump in power right now in the United States, and with the ongoing trade wars with China, and now the virus that started in China, which to me is kind of amazing. All these viruses always start in China and then kind of go through the rest of the world. How is it all playing into everything? And being an ex-investment advisor and watching the stock market just get creamed the last couple of weeks, like big time creamed, and then watching the peso to the dollar go up significantly, watching what's happening with China, both from the impact that the tariffs are going to have on them, as well as the cornovirus, because basically most of the countries have cut off travel to China completely. And that also means that their products aren't being purchased as much as they were. And on top of it, if they are, there's a higher tariff, which cuts into profits. So it just seems to me that they're trying to destroy China and their economy, because if the United States, if their economy dies, and like every other country always has, whether it's back in the day with the Roman Empire or the French or whoever it was that was in power, they all ceased to be in power at some point. The U.S. someday will, and it might be a lot quicker than we think. And so the point is that they're, with the economy crumbling as far as the stock market's concerned, interest rates are about as low as you can get. They don't have any way to really stimulate the economy anymore. The U.S. economy is very, very fragile. We're like 10 years into this recovery, over 10 years at this point, and a normal cycle is about every 6 years. So it's really, we're due for a big recession. And then you couple it with, okay, let's destroy China. Then who is the world power to rise up? Because they're doing a number on Mexico too, with the peso and the new NAFTA agreement. And basically, I don't know what's going on with a lot of these other countries in the world, but it just looks to me like this could be it. And we'll see how it plays out. And, I'm not going to worry if it is it or if it's not it, but it looks like it is. It could be. And if not, it's definitely going to do some damage, and it's going to make people, they're fearful. Like I look at this cornovirus, which I want to touch on real briefly too. To me, it's ridiculous, all the fear with it. More people are dying from the common cold than they have from this virus. Now, granted, the virus is just starting to spread, and the common cold is probably much more into it. But the talk is you're looking at, maybe 3% of the world population dying is kind of what they're projecting, which isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it is. Nobody wants to lose their father or mother or something like that to it, or a child. But I want to place something with you. Number one is there's a lot of talk that it was started on purpose, like they made this virus. And when I say they, the same people that are trying to destroy China and the US and everybody else so that they can take this one world government into place and one world religion. The other aspect of it is, this is from different things that I've watched on YouTube, where they're talking about health and how the common flu shot is really, it does the opposite to us. Most of the people get the flu when they take the shot, and what it does is it destroys our immune system. Not so much, I don't know if it really destroys it, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you. It probably is just more that it suppresses it so it doesn't build up the immune system. And in one of the videos I watched, they said that about every 6 years, there's this super virus that kind of builds up, and what it builds up from is the virus. These shots don't kill it. It makes it change itself and adapt to it, and it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, almost like a steroid, if you will. And then about every 6 years, it kind of reproduces itself into something really, really tough and strong, which then ends up killing a lot of people. And, we're about at that point now where some super viruses, like the cornovirus, should be coming around. So those of us, like myself, that refuse to get shots, and when I do get sick, which isn't very often anymore, it makes my immune system stronger. So something like the cornovirus, will it make me sick? Yeah, I could get sick from it, but it won't kill me. The biggest majority of the people that are going to get killed are young kids, mostly who aren't eating healthy. And I look, especially here in Mexico with the poverty and the way these kids eat, it's terrible. I see why they can die real easy. And, the way we're feeding ourselves in the United States as well. And then also the old people. And I look at somebody like my dad, who had his stroke here a little over a year ago. And, being in a home, and I see the way he eats, and it's not the best in the world, and his system is broke down anyways on a lot of medications and stuff. It's easy to see why they're very susceptible to it, and it would be very important to stay away from it the best you can, because it could easily be the end of it for you. So the main point is, if you buy into the system and you're doing the shots and you take medication for all kinds of different things that you really shouldn't, which another point to make about that, the last time I had a physical was like 10 years ago. And the reason I quit doing them was the doctor was bound and determined to get me on medication, and I had nothing wrong. My blood work was very, very good. My good cholesterol was almost borderline. It was below borderline, but he was saying, well, we should put you on a statin to control this. And I'm like, why? And I didn't do it, and I never will. But that's a healthcare system. They just want to put you on medications. The more they can get you on, the better off they are, because then it keeps creating more and more problems and makes you sick. And eventually, a cornovirus will affect you and probably get your life, because you're not immune to nothing, and you have no immune system because it's all been broken down. So anyways, this video is kind of around and about a lot of things, but it all ties together, because in order for them to bring in and really have an end of times, there has to be where everybody kind of just gives in and says, okay. And, there's definitely a push on to thin out the world population by certain groups of people, and this is one way to do it. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theory, and it is sounding like it, and it doesn't mean that I'm right, but that's kind of what I see. So this video is very different than most. It's more about how I see the prophecy playing out, and I've prophesized on many things, This is not a prophecy. Don't take this and say, oh, it's going to happen because Scott said it. This is just my observation of what I see going on and how I think it could play out. And we might be really close to the end of times, like days or weeks or months or years away instead of decades and centuries. So, anyways, either way, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then everything else will be given to you, including your salvation, whether we end up dying because of the end of times or we die simply because we get too old and don't live no more. So, as always, peace.